What up, everybody? You're now tuned into Jaguars Daily. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley, and I'm here to give you Jags News Daily. What's going on, family? Hey, once again, shout out to all the new subscribers. Thanks for rocking with me. Hopefully, I give you a reason to, join the family and come get that football fix. You got to have your daily football fix. I don't know about you, but I know about me. I do this more for me than I do it for y'all because I have to have that fix. I have to have that fix. So it just is what it is. But man, going to talk some free agency since it's on the doorstep. It's on the doorstep. I think free agency starts March 11th, and very close, very close. So we're gonna talk about a few guys that are kind of almost some at least two of them are swings for the fences. These are things like if they do sign them, you kind of like, hmm. One of them, he's just very pricey. The others are like, it's not really a need at that position. And well, yeah, two of them, it's not really a need at that position. They're pricey. Another one is just solid. So, man, we're gonna go down this list because I've talked about the John Franklin Myers, which he could be out of the Jaguars price range. So it is what it is. Um, Tariq Woolen, Jalen Watson. I even talked about Leo. I think it's Leo Chenal, Quay Walker, Trey Hendrickson, even a Mike Evans. A reunion with Mike Evans. That's not out of the realm of possibility. So because once again, we don't know what we don't know when it comes to this regime, and who they're targeting, how they're operating, and what they value. So it's going to be a very interesting learning season is what it's going to be. Because I'm just watching everything they do and get a feel for how they do it. Because they're emulating success. That's number one. There's no doubt about what they're emulating. They're emulating success. So hopefully that translates to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But first and foremost, we're going to talk about Jamel Dean. Jamel Dean. I've always liked Jamel Dean. I always thought Jamel Dean was a very good corner. He had an excellent season this past season. He was a Pro Bowler, had a career high in interceptions. He's going to take away that half of the field. I think he's the top corner on the market, especially outside corner. And he comes in, he feels a need right away. But top corner, top of the market corner is going to cost you. It's going to cost you a lot. That's why I don't see something like this happening because of what you have already. I mean, you have your CB1 and Travis Hunter. I believe that. Like I don't. There's nobody that they'll be able to acquire through free agency, through the draft, and via trade right now that would be able to supplant Travis Hunter as your CB1. But Jamel Dean would definitely come in and be, at least that other guy. And who knows? He may come in and draw those CB1 duties because he'll get the top dog until Travis Hunter until Travis Hunter shows that he's better or just as good. Who knows? But at the very least, I am very comfortable with a Jamel Dean in the defensive backfield at corner. I don't have the concerns that Jacksonville has at that position currently because there's a couple question marks with Greg Newsome and Monteric Buster Brown exiting stage left because I don't see them bringing either one of them back as far as I've seen or heard. So Jamel Dean makes sense. It's just his price tag. A corner free agency period makes sense. But Jamel Dean, at the very least, you know what you're getting. It's top of the market, and you put plug and play. You don't have to worry about him, and he's not giving up touchdowns. That was the biggest thing. Is just giving up touchdown. A big play here or there, we can live with that, man. But I think Greg Newsome gave up like 5 touchdowns in 12 games. And Greg was making the best out of a situation where he had to change teams in the middle of the season and get used to a new system and all those things or whatever. So You can't. I don't really want to grade him harshly on transitioning to a new team and having some struggle with that new team. Even though he did put together, string together some solid football. So, but Jamel Dean for sure gives you a top-notch corner on the other side of Travis Hunter with Jordan Lewis in the slot, and then you still have a Jarian Jones, a Christian Braswell, and so that'll round out your room. But I do not foresee them going in this route. I don't. It's what it is. But it's nice to think about, though. It really is. It's nice to think about. But we're gonna leave it right there, and we're gonna get to a guy I know even better, because if we're really being honest, Alec Pierce, Jonathan Taylor hasn't really bothered me because Jacksonville has kind of kept him in check most times we've played him. Michael Pittman, so. He hasn't really bothered me because he's going to get the ball, especially on those shorter routes. So him having 10 catches for 100 yards, it's like, okay, just don't let him score touchdowns, man, and don't let him get a ton of first downs. It's what it is. So he hasn't really bugged me. None of their tight ends like that. Yeah, but Alec Pierce has bugged me, man, because at the most inopportune time, Jags corners just I don't know. I don't know what happens. Don't know what goes on, but somehow, some way, he finds the soft spot in the zone, or he just straight up beat a man to man. Dude is a big time playmaker, vertical threat, down the field guy. Has led the league in yards per catch two out of the last 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. I know he's. I wonder. I'm fairly certain that if you, I don't know how many catches you need to qualify for yards per catch all time, but once he hits that number, I'm sure he's going to be in that probably top 5 of catch yards per catch all time. Because that's what he is. That's what he's always been. And I think he's a player that you keep. Like them transition tagging Daniel Jones once again. Daniel Jones? You hung up over Daniel Jones. Okay, all right, Indy, all right, Indy. I mean, you're the Indy right now they're on the hamster wheel right now when it comes to quarterback, man. It's really amazing to see because they've had great rosters over the last couple of years, playoff rosters, contending rosters. Maybe another player here or there would have put them over the top, but it wouldn't have mattered because they have not solved the most important position, which is quarterback, and it is what it is. But Alec Pierce look like he's out the door because you don't tag him, you tag Daniel Jones, and now Alec is probably walking out the door, and he's probably your best playmaker down the field, man. So but Alec Pierce here in Jacksonville, it's just like the Mike Evans. Even though Alec Pierce will definitely cost more than Mike Evans, because at least you have that connection with Mike Evans, and maybe he'll come in and take a little bit of a haircut to come in for a 1-year deal to try to chase a ring and bring get him his second ring to put that icing on top of his Hall of Fame cake, because that's what he is. But Alec Pierce, I think that's even a better long-term, short-term, and long-term play, because Alec Pierce gives you something that Trevor Lawrence has never had, which is a consistent down the field threat. Consistent down the field threat. You got guys, they can get the ball underneath and, run for some yards here or there, but somebody consistently that can win 50-50 balls or get open down the field for those explosive plays, that's what Alec Pierce is. So as far as his talent and what he's going to bring to the team, hey, I say yeah. But once again, Alec, he's going to cost you some money. It's what it is. Yeah, Alex is going to cost you some money. So you can't. You'll have to come up with some money from somewhere. But like at the wide receiver position right now, it's a kind of a log jam. So Alec Pierce doesn't make much sense at this point to put so much money into one room. That's why the Mike Evans thing is more feasible if that something like that was to come to pass, because Alec Pierce is going to cost, and then you have to pay Parker Washington, and then in a few years Brian Thomas Jr. turn that corner, you're going to have to pay him. So I mean, you right there. And then can't forget about Travis Hunter. You still got him. He will be playing wide receiver no matter what you say. So but yeah, gonna leave it right there for Mr. Pierce. We're gonna go to Kobe Bryant. Yes, the Black Mamba. Yes, the Black Mamba, but not that Black Mamba. Kobe Bryant, very consistent. Like when I just watching Seattle, getting to see Seattle up close. That game, they came here to Jacksonville and watching that defense, those guys were absolutely flying around. I have major respect for Houston and their defense and what they accomplished. But Seattle, the best defense won the title. Seattle was the best defense, man. Because in the just real quick, the differences, especially in Houston, their stars were like starry basically. So their top notch guys were very very top notch. Daniil Hunter just signed a 1 year extension for $40 million. He deserves every penny. Will Anderson, Derek Stingley, Kamari Lassiter, Jalen Petrie. I mean, they got some guys now. Seattle, those guys they're unheralded. Some of them have a name. One of my favorites is Leonard Williams. And then you got you have Devin Witherspoon and you had Tariq Woolen, some guys with a little bit of a name, but none of them with the name and the accomplishments that I just named off of the Houston roster. They don't have as many as those, but collectively, they were the best collectively because it seemed like they were pulling guys off the bench coming in and getting quality reps. Like they're a very deep defense and one of the best in the league. That's why they won the title. Kobe Bryant was a big part of that. Big play eraser, and he was great against the run, and he can blitz. I mean, and he's only 27 years old, and safeties aren't going to cost you a ton, but he is going to be towards the higher end of the safety market. And you have a need at safety. He fills a big hole once again, and that gives you versatility with Antonio Johnson. And then maybe Eric Murray is, there. It's still Eric Murray's still here. So as Antonio Johnson continues to grow, him and Kobe Bryant will end up on the field together, and Eric Murray will turn into more of a rotational player. And they probably move on from him after the 2026 season. But Kobe Bryant makes a lot of sense. Just as Cameron Curl, a safety from the Rams, make a lot of sense. Nick Cross, who was only 24. I saw that Nick Cross was only 24. I said, man, it's a very, very young man. So the options are there at safety. It's just where what guy is your type of guy, and the market is going to be the market, so it is what it is. So Jacksonville do any dipping in any of these positions that I'm listing now. With these guys, you're gonna come up out your pocket about it. It's just what it is. That's why I'm saying that most of these are not likely. The most likely one is Kobe Bryant. Jamal Dean is a corner. I think he's right behind that because he's a corner. And if they make a splash, they can't get a John Franklin Myers who's going to cost. Jamal Dean is a splash at corner, another position that they need. Alec Pierce is superfluous because wide receiver is not a need. And then we're going to finish up, of course, with Odafe Oweh. Edge, and as far as that level of edge is not a need. You're looking for more of a rotational edge, somebody like an Epinesa, who I talked about from Buffalo. But Kobe Bryant is your guy as far as safety is concerned. You got a couple of options, but I like Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is another one, and him, Cameron Curl, and I've seen Nick Cross up close. Yeah, I think all of those guys are ascending players, and I think you get some good football out of them for sure. So we're gonna leave it right there, and we're gonna talk about my man Odafe Oweh. Oweh, 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 Oweh. So with Odafe Oweh, which I mean his tenure in Baltimore, I had high hopes because there are teams outside of your team that you kind of watch, you'll root for they may have some of your favorite players on them, or they're for whatever reason, people have that team where if it ain't your team, and they're not playing your team, you'll root for them. Baltimore is one of those teams. One of the main reasons why is because of Lamar. I watched Lamar, and then before Lamar, of course, I mean, how could you say no to Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Peter Bulwer, Chris McAllister, Samari Rowe? I mean, the list goes on. The list goes on. Bart Scott, Haloti Nada, Kelly Gregg. I can go Trevor Price. I can go on and 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 on. And Jacksonville has had many battles with Baltimore, so I always love watching Baltimore and watching Baltimore's battles with Pittsburgh. But Odafe Oweh, I thought Odafe he was it. He was the next up. He was that next, beast in Baltimore that's going to help restore that defense and get it back to what it was consistently, because they'll have spikes here or there, but talking about consistency. And his tenure there was up and down, man. Fans complained about him, hearing about him, those, especially those diehard. I know a few diehards that are here in Jacksonville of the Ravens, and they talked about his inconsistency. Well, that was yesterday. Today, he's a former Charger. And from what I saw from Oweh, man, yeah, he 7.5 sacks. But his overall play was more consistent. He's not great against the run, but I'm not paying Odafe Oweh to stop the run. It's just no. I'm paying you to go get the quarterback, and Oweh I think he's taken another step. Now the question is now consistency. Is he going to sign somebody going to sign him to a longer term deal? I would say definitely no more than about 3 years. Especially if I was him, I wouldn't take no more than about 3 years. If I was the team, I mean, I'd be looking to get him on another 1 year to see if it's really real. But from what I've seen against the Chargers, yes. Well, with the Chargers, yes, Odafe Oweh brings power, brings pressure, would definitely bring more sacks. Problem is he's at another position that's superfluous. You have two guys already. One guy you have invested significant money in. He's one of the tops in the league at his position as far as money is concerned. And Josh Hines-Allen, he's one top of the league in pressures as well. People make those big deals about him getting sacks. It is what it is, but his pressure rate is one of the best in the league, and it's been one of the best for the last 4 years, 5 years. I mean, he's up there. And then you have Trayvon Walker, and you can say whatever you want about Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker is an excellent football player. He's excellent. He's been an elite run defender since the day he stepped foot on the NFL football field. That's number one. And number two, what do you know? He can rush the passer. Your only defensive player with back-to-back double-digit sack season. He's the only player to ever do that for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I don't want to hear anything from Jaguar fans as far as him. Now, those outside, they talking whatever. And it's amazing for him to not be as great or whatever, and however you feel about Aiden Hutchinson and him going before him and all of this and him not being better. It don't matter. But look at when teams have been trying to trade for him, other teams' fan bases. Yeah, why are you trading for a player that's not that good? Exactly. So you got to pay him too. So Odafe Oweh, I mean, if you can get him on maybe a 1 year prove it deal or something like that, because he's going to come here and be a rotational player. He's not beating out Hines-Allen or Trayvon Walker, and you're not going to pay ridiculous money to a rotational player. So that's what I'm saying. He's just as least likely as the others. So while Alec Pierce and Odafe Oweh are the least likely, Jamel Dean is somewhat likely, but that price tag puts him maybe second on the list. Of course, number one is Kobe Bryant. He's the most likely because he's going to cost the least, and he definitely a position of need. So, but all of these guys are, they would be great additions to the Jaguars if they see fit to go in said direction. So, but we're going to leave it right there. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe Follow me on all of my social medias. I will be back with more videos. Can't wait for free agency to start to see how everything goes. As you know, like ETN Lloyd, nobody was tagged. They re-signed Quentin Morris, which was huge, huge signing, huge. Now you tight end 2 is solidified, and then they'll go in and whether it's the draft or free agency, they'll bring in another tight end or 2. Because Hunter Long and Johnny Munt, one of them are probably going. It's just what it is. What it is. One of them are probably going. So but until next time, I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.